Hey, it's Gale, and we're here in Ocean City, New Jersey. We just finished up the Doodah Parade weekend. It was super duper fun, and I thought, what better of a place to do my very first segment ever of hashtag Furry History, where we're going to be doing a whole bunch of videos, informational videos and interviews and all sorts of things, starting to investigate kind of what the history of the furry fandom is. Because I know we're getting more and more furries entering the fandom, and I feel like there's a lot of people that don't really know when the fandom started, how it started, what early conventions were like, and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I really want to do with this series is, highlight all of those awesome experiences and stories and share those with all of you. So, being that we're here at the Doodah Parade and in Ocean City, New Jersey, I really wanted the first segment of this series to be super special. And so I knew I was going to interview one of my really, really close friends. And I was so happy that he agreed to do it. So I would like to introduce you all to one of my absolute favorite people, fursuiters, and performers in the fandom. Please welcome Wilson T. Longtail.
Hi, Gale. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, man?
Oh, good. Thank you. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
All right. So thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for this series. So I think we'll just start right into it, getting into the questions, because we're going to get to know you as we go.
Okay, fire away.
So, my first question for you is, how and when did you find the furry fandom?
Well, I found the furry fandom in 2002, I would say. I started building costumes for Halloween in 1999, and then in 2002, I went to a local Halloween event at a mall in Orlando, and there I met some people who had some cool looking animal costumes. Their names were, you may recognize the name Latin Vixen, and there was also Jugular Jaguar was there, who you may also know as Calamity Cougar. And they had one more person with them, I think his name was Shadowpaw, and we hung out a little bit together, and we took a few pictures together. And it wasn't until like a few days later I was talking to my friend, and he asked me if they were furries. And I was like, yeah, the one girl, Latin Vixen, did mention she was a furry. And he told me a little bit about them, but I did not have a computer back in 2002, believe it or not. I wasn't online yet. I'm still living in the 90s back then. So it wasn't until 2004 that I did get a computer, and I was able to start Googling this stuff and looking these people up and looking up their websites and photos. And this is actually maybe even before YouTube existed, or right around when it started, so I didn't even know what that was. So it was at that point that I really started to explore furry, and then I went to my first furry convention in 2005. So I first found out about it in 2002, didn't really start exploring until 2004, and then really dove in 2005. And that first year, I think I went to 5 or 6 furry conventions. FWA 2005 being my first.
Ah, that's really cool. So I guess my next question then is, what would you say your first character or persona was, and what gave you the inspiration for that?
Well, you're looking at him right now, Wilson T. Longtail. I always had the idea to kind of create my own cartoon character. I love Bugs Bunny and Roger Rabbit and Wile E. Coyote and all those guys, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool to create my own cartoon character? And I love Chester Cheetah because he is just so big and silly, and thinks he's really cool, but when he sees Cheetos, he just loses his mind. I always liked Chester Cheetah. And I always liked Marsupilami, which is kind of an unknown cartoon from Disney from the 90s. I loved him because he had this ridiculously long tail that he was always doing stuff with. And you could swing from it and everything. So I kind of combined the two things that I love most. Chester Cheetah, who was a cheetah, and Marsupilami, who was a yellow marsupial. And I chose the name Wilson T. Longtail because my favorite band is the Beach Boys, and 3 of those guys, their last name is Wilson. middle initial T for Tilt, like a pinball machine, because I buy, collect, restore antique pinball machines. And then Wilson T. Longtail for this really long tail that I mentioned earlier. So there you have it. That's how I came up with the idea for me.
I love it. I love that. All right. So would you say that, so I know for a fact that you have other costumes and fursuits. Would you say that you have any other persona, or are all of your other characters just characters you've created? And could you tell us a little bit about those characters?
Well, I guess my other main persona would be Grypher. I did not design Grypher, I did not create Grypher, I did not build Grypher version 1. I bought him used. He was a used fursuit. But I did really help develop the character over the years with all the videos I've done. And so I would say that Grypher is my other main persona. I still like being Grypher and wearing Grypher and doing stuff with him, but me, this is still my main persona. So yeah, Grypher is my second main persona, I would say.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get into some questions about kind of furry back in the old day.
Okay, back to 2005 for this one.
Yes. So when you went to your first convention, was there anything that stuck out to you, like, oh my god, I can't believe this is real, oh my god, why do these people do this? Like, was there anything that first convention that was really jarring, or also kind of felt almost like a dreamscape? Like, is this actually happening right now?
Probably my first interaction at a furry con was I got there, I went there all by myself, got a room all by myself. I only knew 2 people, Latin Vixen and Juggler Jaguar, who I mentioned earlier. And like I said, I wasn't really big into YouTube or Facebook. This is way before Twitter even existed or any of that stuff. So, I mean, I had communicated a little bit, but I didn't really know anybody. So I remember getting to FWA 2005. I put on my fursuit, and I actually, I'm not ashamed to say this, but I actually talked to myself at the door, and I was like, okay, Wilson, this is it. This is our big moment. First furry con, drove 500 miles for this. I don't know what's going to happen down there, but let's just go with this. No turning back now. So I do remember going downstairs. I went into maybe it's the artist alley or the dealer's den. And I just kind of walked in and looked around. And within just a few minutes, there's some guy comes up to me. And he gets down on all fours and he starts rubbing on my leg like a cat, like this. And I'm sitting here with this guy on the floor rubbing my leg like a cat, and I'm looking around like, what the hell's this guy doing? What the heck? And this is normal behavior. No one's looking. Everyone's just doing their thing. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll pet him now. So I reached down and petted him, and then he went away. And then I was like, oh, okay, I can deal with this, that's fine. And I later saw the guy like a year or 2 later, and I told him, you gave me a really memorable first experience at my first con. And I've talked to him since then. It was a little awkward at first, but very normal behavior at a furry con, I guess. So I always love to tell that story of my first interaction at a furry con.
That's a unique one.
Yeah.
That's a very unique one. All right, so were there any events, like when you first started going to conventions, were there any events or stuff like the dealer's den where it was like, I have to go to this event, I have to go to the dealer's den at least this many times? Was there anything that you kind of got into a routine with that maybe has changed now or maybe has remained the same?
Well, one thing I always like to do is do the fursuit parade, which is usually connected with the fursuit group photo, because that's the big gathering of all the fursuits. And I just like it because you get to walk along and everybody sees you. Not only all the convention attendees and the people in the dealer's den, but also the the hotel employees who are at the front desk or at the gift shop or wherever you're going. Everyone just likes to watch the parade. And that's something that a few cons don't do anymore, but the cons that do that, I always like to be a part of that. The fursuit parade, to me, that's the big event. That's the big fursuit get-together.
Yeah, I agree. I know logistically it's tough for some cons to still do it, but I love the fursuit parades at cons, and Anthrocon's fursuit parade, now that it goes outside, is absolutely my favorite one.
Oh yeah. That was amazing. I do remember when I went to Anthrocon and they did their first outdoor fursuit parade. Afterwards, I went back and interacted with the locals, and I took a picture with an older lady who seemed to be alone, but she took a picture with me and she said that this was better than Christmas Day. That's pretty impressive for a person to say, watching this fursuit parade was better than Christmas Day.
Yeah, that definitely puts into perspective when the public gets really into it.
Oh yeah.
So this is a fun question that I thought of when I first was thinking about this hashtag furry history, because somebody brought it up that's been in the fandom since '93.
Oh.
What would you say when you entered the fandom was the in species? For example, recently when Telephone popped up onto the scene, and she was so talented and such an incredible performer, a lot of people wanted to be a Dutch angel dragon, which was a species she had created. And so we had an explosion of Dutch angel dragons. Do you feel like there have been any big explosions of a particular species as you've been a furry through the years?
Well, I will say it seems like otters were the big species for a while. And I guess they're still popular. There's so many unusual species involved. A lot of hybrids and stuff like that, but if you want to go back to talk about the early days, I think when I first got involved, I think foxes were still the most popular, because if you think about it, a lot of furries who were around my age, they were probably inspired by Robin Hood, which was a thing in the 70s. So I think a lot of the furries of the 90s and the 2000s are the ones that remember Robin Hood. So I think fox would be way up there.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to see, as I interview people that joined at different times, the different species that have exploded. Because I've heard some interesting ones, and I want to prove if they're false or true. And otters is definitely one where people have said otters had a time where there were many, many, many people getting otter fursuits and fursonas. So have you seen any sort of just other trends in the fandom? So aside from fursonas, I remember when I first joined the fandom, there were two big things. One was the silly shutter shades. Big oversized ones that fursuiters wore. And the other one was, and this was a little bit before I joined into when I joined, was fursuit squeakers and squeaker talkers.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot of squeakers over my years.
So do you feel like you ever saw any big trends like that?
Well, here's a little interesting piece of trivia. If my memory serves me correctly, I was a judge at the first ever fursuit dance competition. I believe it was FWA 2008, where I was a guest of honor there, and I think they had this new thing they were going to do called a fursuit dance competition. And since I was a guest of honor, I got to be one of the judges for that. So, and that seems to be a pretty regular and a big deal these days at furry cons, is the fursuit dance competition. So yeah, it's something I've seen explode and become a standard event at pretty much every furry con that I know of. And so yeah, that's a little piece of trivia there. If my memory serves me correctly, I was a judge at the first ever fursuit dance competition.
That's a really cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always knew, because I'm a nerd about that stuff, so I always knew that you were a judge at the first furry dance comp. But yeah, FWA,
okay, well I guess I'm right.
FWA 2008 was the very first ever organized furry dance competition.
Okay, there you go.
So that's pretty cool that you were there for the beginning of it.
Yeah.
All right, so we might get back into some furry con stuff in a bit. But I want to ask you about something specific.
Okay.
Because we are currently in Ocean City, New Jersey.
Yes, we are.
And yesterday we were just at the amazing event called the Doodah Parade.
Yes.
And I would love you to explain kind of how it came to be that furries were involved with the Doodah Parade, and then how you became involved with it, and kind of what it means to you.
Well, I know that furries had been coming to the Doodah Parade for decades now. That is all because of Mr. Rabbit T. Rabbit, who a lot of you know the name, and unfortunately he passed away last year. But he was the one that organized the costume characters or mascots or furries, whatever you want to call us, to come down to Ocean City and be in a little parade. Now, I did not get involved in the Doodah Parade until 2007. I had been going to furry cons for 2 years, and I said to myself, I want to do something different. I want to go to some other kind of different events. And I had heard about this Doodah Parade, and I looked into it a little bit. I came to Ocean City as a kid. That was one of our family vacation destination spots, so I thought to myself, boy, it'd be great to go back. And I did a little research, and I found that at the end of the parade, they do a big pie fight. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to be in a big pie fight. I mean, I love silly slapstick comedy, the Three Stooges. I love those big pie fights and everything. I mean, who doesn't? So when I heard about that, I thought to myself, I said, I would love to do that. And I thought, I wonder if I could do that in fursuit. Now, I had read somewhere over the years that a lot of times when you see someone get a pie in the face on TV, they just use shaving cream. It works easier, it cleans up easier and works better. And I thought, I don't think that would damage a fursuit. So I did a little experiment on Stormy Raccoon, who's another one of my personas. And it didn't damage the fursuit, so I contacted the parade organizer, asked if I could do this. He said, yeah, I'm okay with that. And I bought a plane ticket and came down to Doodah and did the parade, and I was in, along with Foxwell, I believe, the first ever fursuit pie fight. And I did that in 2007, and that kind of became my trademark after that. I'm between me and Greifer, we're the guys that always get hit with pies or whatever. It's something that I really enjoy doing, something really different and outrageous that I've been able to do in fursuit in ways that nobody ever imagined before. So yeah, that's a big reason why I come to Doodah, and a big reason why I like it so much, because I do something pretty crazy here with the whole pie fight, and or Piasco as they call it. And it's also a place I've been coming for close to or over 40 years.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's cool, because just a little snippet of my own personal furry history. You know this, I've told you a million times, that when I first found furry, I very, very quickly came across videos of you.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, did that guy just wear a fursuit and take a pie to the face after another pie after another pie? And I thought it was just the coolest thing in the world, because I grew up with my dad watching Three Stooges, and I was a 90s girl, so I love Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah.
So I always thought that was the coolest thing, and then it's because of you that I'm now corrupted and do my own sort of pie stunts with Basalt and Gale and everybody, and I've dragged all my friends in Boston into doing it with me.
Okay, well, hey, I have some pies over here. Should I go get them?
No. It doesn't need to be that type of video yet.
Oh, okay, all right, well, all right, that'll be the next one. Okay,
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
But yeah, so I think that's a big thing about, this whole furry history segment that I'm doing is, I want to get into not only furry conventions, but also all of these fur meets that have been established outside of it. Even here, you still have new people coming every year to check it out and do the parade, and then fursuit on the boardwalk, which is an excellent time, public suiting.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So this is a fun story. Do you have any favorite public fursuiting stories?
Favorite public fursuiting stories? Let's see. Well, can I show you a clip?
Of course.
Okay, well, let's go to our clip. What you doing?
He's having a moment.
Oh, let's have a moment together. Having a moment. Hey, here's some candy. I made you look. Bye.
Bye.
What's everyone looking at? Nothing to see here. Nothing to see. I didn't do it. Yeah, so that was a fun little interaction I had on the boardwalk. Actually, just a few years ago. I just I just thought it was very funny.
That's a good one. Awesome. Very cool. So here's a question. I don't know if anybody viewing this video yet has caught on, but you are wearing a particular bow tie and a particular watch today. And I kind of would love to hear what these items represent and why that thing is so important to you, and kind of get the furry inspiration.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, and I'm glad you asked me about that. It's 2018, and it's also the 30-year anniversary of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and therefore the 30-year anniversary of me being a furry. Even though I didn't get involved in the fandom until 2005, I feel as though I became a furry on, I still remember the date, June 23rd, 1988. That was the first time I saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I had an interest in cartoons and animation. I loved Bugs Bunny and Woody Woodpecker and Scooby-Doo. I was a grown man, and I was still watching Saturday morning cartoons. But in 1988, this movie came out, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which combined live action and animation in ways that had never been seen before. And when I saw that in the theater as a 17-year-old, that blew my mind. And I was like, that is what I want. That's the world that I want. That's how I want to be a cartoon character. I want to be with cartoon characters. I want to have lunch with Bugs Bunny. I want to be able to drive down the road and go to Toontown and go to the Toontown Cafe, or stuff like that. So it's why I'm wearing this polka dot bow tie right now, and it's why I have this watch on. It was a Who Framed Roger Rabbit watch that I made for myself. Can we get a close up of that? Can we get a close up of that? Yeah, I made that watch myself, and that is Roger Rabbit's a big inspiration to me, and that's why I'm all decked out in Roger Rabbit motif.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I love Roger Rabbit. That's always been such a fun movie for me. I remember I was telling you yesterday, I don't know how many of you guys, you're about around my age, so probably a lot of you had the Disneyland sing-along VHS, where I had Walking Down Main Street and all the other songs, and I remember it was filmed in Disneyland, and they had the Roger Rabbit costume, and he was in the video, and I was like, I want to meet Roger Rabbit, but he's never been in Disney World, so I'm hoping to get to Disneyland at some point. I know he's also in Disneyland Paris.
Well, hey, you never know. You might meet Roger Rabbit at some furry con somewhere. That could happen someday. You never know.
That could happen. Every now and then some Disney characters show up. But, yeah, so as we near the end here, I just want to ask, is there, well, a couple of ending questions. First, are there any, furry fandom stories that you would like to share today? Anything random, favorite memories, old con memories, little dorky things that used to happen that maybe don't happen anymore?
I don't know if I have any stories that stick out of my head right now, because there's so many stories and so many good memories, and there will be more stories and more good memories for everyone as years go by. But if I could say something to everyone in conjunction or in association with all that, never be afraid to follow your dreams, and do what you want to do and be what you want to be. To me, that's what furry is all about, is doing what you want, being creative, creating what you want. That's my advice to everyone. I never thought that I would be able to build a costume like this. I never thought I'd spend my Saturday nights in front of a sewing machine. So anybody out there that's watching this, whether you're 14 years old or you're 44 years old, or whether you've been to 20 conventions or 0 conventions, never be afraid to follow your dream and experiment and try something. Like Gazelle says in Zootopia, try everything. Never say to yourself, I can't do that, I can't make that, it won't work, I don't know how to do that, no one's going to like it. I might have said that to myself 15 years ago, but 15 years ago, I said, I'm going to try to build a costume, and I'm going to go to one of these things. And here I am almost 15 years later, still doing it and still loving it. So yeah, that's I don't have a story or a memory, but that's just something I want to say to everyone, to never let go of your dreams.
Awesome. I really love that. So I guess my final question is, do you think you're going to be a furry for the rest of your life?
I will always be a furry. Interests come and interests go. We all have certain hobbies that we do or maybe don't do too much. I've definitely cut down on the going to furry cons over the years for several reasons. But I don't think I'm going to wake up one day and go, I have no interest in costumes or cartoons or plushies or animation anymore. Interests shift a little bit, but it's something that's been very deep within me for, like I said, a little bit over 30 years now. So I don't think it's something I'm just going to let go and go do something else. So yeah, I will always be a furry in one capacity or another. It's not something I'm just going to wake up and not be anymore. So yeah, I'll always be here.
Awesome. I agree with that fully. I mean, I've still got a lot more years of furry ahead of me, so I don't see myself going anywhere. But I just want to thank you so much for being the first person on my #FurryHistory interviews. I honestly couldn't have seen anybody else being the first person because you've been so inspirational and important to me. And I'm just happy that, we can be here having the fun that we do have, and I'm so happy that I know you. So thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, and thank you everyone for watching this interview. It was really a lot of fun to do. It's always fun to come to these things and make new friends and be with your friends and create new memories. So keep doing that. Keep creating friends. Keep creating memories. And that's all I could say to you right now. Is just like I said earlier, don't let go of your dreams. But yeah, thank you, Gale, for having me. I had a lot of fun doing this, and it was a great interview.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And everybody out there, just keep on watching this channel. There's going to be much, much more furry history to come. We've got a lot of things lined up for the year. So stay tuned, everybody, and farewell from Ocean City, New Jersey.
Okay, hey, should I go get those pies now?
No.
Yeah, I think I should. All right. Okay, all right, I'll go get them.
Oh, no.
All right, hey, bye, everyone.